apparently what happens in Vegas doesn't always stay in Vegas, because we have just figured out that it was Sheldon Adelson who was behind the purchase of the Las Vegas Review-Journal newspaper. Actually, it was his son-in-law Duke, who was married to his stepdaughter, or not stepdaughter, or yeah, stepdaughter. So it's actually the dude who's married to his stepdaughter. He's like 41 years old. He's kind of like I think he's in charge of a couple of some properties down there in Las Vegas. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, Sheldon Adelson has purchased the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Right now, in the recent sale of the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Fortune magazine is reporting the deal involves Las Vegas Sands owner Sheldon Adelson. News Plus Media Capital Group LLC bought the RJ and some affiliated publications for $140 million last week. As the primary buyer, however, it's unclear why Adelson hasn't come forward to publicly announce the purchase.
Now, I know a lot of people are looking at me like, well, who gives a fuck? Some fucking rich white dude, billionaire, bought a newspaper. Who cares? I think why this is important is because they kept it secret for about, what, 2 or 3 days, maybe a little more than that. I could be wrong. But they kept it secret. They kept the purchase secret. They did come out. Now, there might be some business reasons behind that. I'm sure that, they wanted to go ahead and maybe move some investments around before they made it public. Now, I'm sure they wanted to do that, but I think that it's still weird that the journalists who worked at the Review-Journal did not know who their new owner was. It wasn't just the fact that the public didn't know who the purchasers or the purchaser was, but it's the fact that the journalists within that institution didn't know. So imagine being a journalist where, you basically, you're the First Amendment in the Bill of Rights, right? Freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly. Your job is to be as transparent as possible on what goes on behind closed doors. But yet, you don't even know what goes on behind your closed doors. So imagine how this paper is going to be run. Now, this is a very influential paper. This is a big paper, very big in the political game as well, And I'm sure Sheldon Adelson, this is a part of his various, stakes that he has in various areas of the marketplace. And this is perfect for him. He's a huge conservative donor. Now, for me, I kind of felt like I already knew that coming in. It's like, who really goes out of their way to keep things secret like that? Now, all politicians do it. This is not to say that Democrats don't do it, but this is to say that the Republicans are really good at doing this. They do the same thing with their super PACs and the dark money that goes on during elections. Like, I remember the last election cycle, some Republican donors, or some donors to the Republican Party, they kept that donation and they waited until the very last second of the election, like to the last day they could do it, and then they put it all through, hoping that they could, get out of the view of the media. But typically, this is a Republican or a more conservative American political party type of deal. Honestly, I don't care. Like, if good journalism is still going on, if you're tinged one way or another, everyone's tinged one way or another. Most of the media tends to lean liberal. So having some influential media places that lean right is not a big deal, honestly. As long as they're still doing good journalism, their opinion pieces might be right, but as long as they're still putting out good pieces that are good, that are based off good journalism, I mean, what's the big deal? So, but if we're talking about journalism, the way that this thing started, the fact that this was kept at bay from his own reporters, essentially, now, the fact that that happened says a lot about the journalism that may or may not be done at the Las Vegas Review-Journal. So stay tuned. This is going to be really interesting. I'm excited for this. So we'll see how it goes. So catch you guys on the flip side.